Hi, and welcome along to the Invincible podcast live deadline day special. And we've been joined by Lee and also Julian. And of course, we're joined by you guys. Get involved in the show today. Let us know what you've made of the transfer window so far. Before we get into that, if you're struggling to strike up a good deal when you're looking online to get your cheapest flights and accommodation when you're traveling abroad, well, with NordVPN, you can change your location online so that you can view the local and cheaper rates instead of the more expensive international tourist rates. And I'll tell you, it works really. You'd be surprised by how much money you save by doing that. Our friends at NordVPN are offering AFTV viewers a special exclusive deal of an extra 4 months on a 2-year plan. All you got to do is go to nordvpn.com/AFTV and sign up right now. My Nord subscription is what I use when I'm booking flights and accommodation for Arsenal's pre-season tour and all of our European away games, and we've got those coming up, and we can discuss that later, the new format. Got a couple of trips to Italy, one to Girona. I've never been there. It's quick and easy to enable, and you can use it on up to 6 different devices. Head over to nordvpn.com/AFTV. Click the link in the description below and to get those 4 extra months of NordVPN with their brilliant 2-year plan. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And I want to say a big thank you going out to our friends at NordVPN for powering this video. Guys, welcome along. Of course, you know, we could do it at NordVPN because we're going to have a few European trips to book after the draw yesterday. Was you happy with that draw?
I think it was as good as what we could have get, really. I thought that some of the sides were really a lot more difficult routes to go for it. But I think if you was to handpick them, mate, we were talking about earlier, maybe swap PSV for Inter Milan over at home and away. But other than that, I think, you know, we had a real decent draw.
All right, let me just remind everybody of it. Sorry, it's just gone there. So Arsenal got PSG at home, Inter Milan away, Shakhtar Donetsk at home, Atalanta away, Europa League holders, Dynamo Zagreb home, Sporting away, AS Monaco at home, and Girona away. I think that's pretty.
Yeah, I think if you look at the individual teams, then I'm not saying we couldn't get a slightly better draw than that, but I think it's as good as we can expect.
Yeah.
I mean, from a fan point of view, I was slightly disappointed. What I'd have liked is if they'd reversed it, that the games we've got at home would be the games we've got away. And that's more for selfish reasons, that the kind of places that we could have gone to.
Been to Dynamo Zagreb already.
Yeah, I haven't.
Well, that's your problem.
No, it's not.
Girona's a new place.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Girona's a new place.
Atalanta's a new place.
But
we've been to Monaco before.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've been to Monaco, but I'd like to go back to Monaco again. And Girona, and again, I'm looking at this from a fan experience, is to get into Girona, I think we're going to have to go to Barcelona. And I've been to Barcelona. No, Barcelona's good, but I'd like to go to new places. And also for Atalanta.
You'll be going into Barcelona to go to Girona.
Okay, but we'd probably be spending the night in Barcelona.
How do you know that?
Because I've looked at hotels and there's not that much of... Not that much.
This is Girona now as well.
No, I'm not dissing it. I'm not dissing it.
How far is it from Barcelona?
It's probably looks about an hour. I haven't worked out the exact timing, but it looks about an hour in the car. It's close. We're probably flying to Barcelona. But for Atalanta, it looks like we're probably going to go to Milan.
Well, you're flying to Milan, yeah?
Yeah, so we're going to go to Milan twice.
Yeah, but then you go into Milan, you fly into Milan, but then you go on to Atalanta. Very nice place. And I've been there before, in Bergamo.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that then, but I'm not looking forward to going to Milan again. I've been to Milan a few times and I didn't find anything that great to do there.
And we've been to Sporting, what was it?
Yeah, we've been to Sporting a few years ago. But from a footballing perspective, I'm not complaining, just from kind of the adventures that go with it.
I understand what you're saying. Like you know, you do want to have... I think at the end of the day, we've got two there that... I think two grounds you're saying like that you've never been to. So
I can add that to my spreadsheet, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, so we're we're happy with that. He's got his spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, right, Liverpool were a seeded team.
They had a more tougher one than us.
Yeah, they're in Pot A, right? So you'd expect them to get easier, but they didn't. They got Real Madrid at home, Leipzig away, Leverkusen at home, AC Milan away, Lille, a good side at home, PSV, that's tough, away, Bologna at home, Girona away. That's not easy.
No.
They're in the highest pot.
I think from looking at it, I don't think we missed all the big boys. In saying that, I wouldn't mind going Real Madrid or or Barcelona or something like that.
Well, we can go there later in the
later in the tournament if we get through this. But
well, you know what, we're not really going to be talking about it today. I want to be talking and discussing transfers. It's transfer deadline day, right? And at the moment, the only signing Arsenal made today has been Neto, who we've signed from Bournemouth. And that's a loan. We haven't paid any money for it, but that's a loan. He signed on a season-long loan with no obligation to buy. We weren't able to get Joan Garcia, who's a goalkeeper from Espanyol. They were insisting on a release clause of 30 million euros, sorry, which Arsenal were not willing to pay. So they've decided to get Neto in, very experienced keeper, previously at Barcelona and Juventus, played in the Premier League, of course, with Bournemouth. So although then saw the news that, you know, he's actually a cup tie for the Carabao Cup because he played it the other night. I mean, Mikel Merino, who's a new signing that we made, is injured, right?
Dana Julian.
Yeah. And
he's done his shoulder.
Serious injury. I think it's going to be more than weeks.
Well, they reckon he's going to be out for a few weeks.
Well, it mentioned, when I read
Fracture.
he mentioned the word fracture. I mean, I didn't fracture mine, and I wasn't able to do any exercise for about 6 months. Had to have an operation. I'm still not right. So
let's hope it's not as serious as that. You know. Yeah. So yeah, I want to get stuck into the transfers. First of all, actually, by the way, it was to wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you very much.
One, even though you didn't invite us to your party.
Well,
that you
had
the other night. I love your cake, by the way.
I had a gathering, but I didn't know who was going to be there. Like, you know,
yeah. So. Oh, you had a gathering?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's good. You know what I mean? It's all right, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even though you didn't invite me, I still got.
I didn't invite you either.
No, I didn't invite me either. So I just wonder, who's your second favourite player?
Paul Merson.
By coincidence.
What's that?
There we go.
Thank you very much. That's quality. That,
you like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I'll put that in my bedroom, like number 9 as well.
Yeah.
Number 9. Thank you very much.
I took that. Well, that's actually from Rob. I took that from his house.
Yeah, nicked it.
Well, I kind of nicked it because he's a Spurs fan and he collects them, but he refuses to put any of the Arsenal players out. He's got collections of every other team, but the Arsenal ones, and the Arsenal ones were in his drawer. So I kind of took that.
So you nicked it to give it to him as a present.
Yeah, but I did get you one from me.
Thank you very much. It's much appreciated, like that way. Oh wow! Really?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
That's magic, that isn't it? Like,
yeah, that is from the Magic Man.
Signed as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Julian.
Yeah. Signed picture.
Thank you very much. That's unbelievable. Thank you.
And to think you didn't invite him to your gathering, you know what I mean?
Well, I feel bad now.
Well, you should feel bad. That's what I mean. Who else gave you a signed picture?
I emphasise that I didn't do the invites. Otherwise, you two would definitely have been there, like, you know. So, but thank you very much, little Mercer as well, like, you know. Yeah.
Got any tears?
Yeah, very emotional. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's really nice. I'm shocked.
Listen, happy belated birthday, man.
Thank you
very
much.
Yeah, no, man, happy birthday. Happy birthday. But how are you guys feeling about the transfer window? We signed Calafiori. We signed Mikel Merino, even though he's now injured, but we signed Mikel Merino. We signed Neto. David Raya, I guess, was a signing of sorts because he was there on loan last year. We made that permanent. But no forward player, right? We've been linked with a host of forward players this transfer window. Gorkarez, Tony, Osimhen. We've been linked with wide players, you know what I mean? Nico Williams. At the moment, we've not signed anyone. There's a load of journalists out there at the moment saying that they feel that that's it. The business is done and Arsenal won't be signing anybody else. I was doing a live with Turkish earlier. I said, for me, if we don't sign a forward player, that's a 6 out of 10 window. Turkish said he feels that's a 3 out of 10 window. And I have to say that a lot of people were backing him in the comments. What do you guys make of this window? I mean, listen, we've got, it's 6 o'clock now, 10 past 6.
As it stands.
But as it stands, are you happy?
Do I look happy? No, I'm not happy. I think we've left ourselves short. And the reason I think, you know, we're not saying about the team, like, we still, whatever happens, we've still got a very, very good team, don't get me wrong. But I think with the extra 4 games in the Champions League, and also, you know, hopefully we would like to think that we go deep in the cups as well. I think the squad needed a little few more players. And that's where I think that we've gone wrong. We've just not backed up. I think we're stopped well in the defence. Midfield, maybe a little bit, but up front, I think we're weak.
What about you, Julian?
I'd agree with you on a 6 as a minimum, maximum a 7 at the moment. On the goalkeeping front, I think we've weakened ourselves slightly, but hopefully that won't come to the fore because we won't get an injury to Raya. But I also understand that
could happen, couldn't it? Look, it could guaranteed like that.
Well, it's not guaranteed. It could happen, but the player least likely to get injured is a goalkeeper. So long as the goalkeeper doesn't get injured,
we're fine.
Then we're fine. I've looked at Neto. He's an all right goalkeeper.
Yeah,
he's an all right backup. But you wouldn't want a goalkeeper of that kind of standard to be your regular goalkeeper if Raya got injured. Defence, overly happy with. We're heavily stocked in the defence. And the other aspect of it is I think a few of those players could fill in as a defensive midfielder, that they've played there in the past and they've got the attributes to be able to play there as well. Okay, so we'll come on to the attack. In fact, let's look at who's gone. I don't think Arsenal have been weakened, apart from potentially in the Ramsdale area if we get an injury. But the players that we let go just didn't have any minutes last season. They were negligible. So I can't see how we've weakened. And the players that we've brought in are players that, if they're not injured, should get regular minutes. The other aspect is that we've now freed up a little bit of space to give some of the youth players who have all been enthused about a space in the squad. So yes, I do agree. The reason I wouldn't give it...
What happens if Saka gets injured?
That's the issue, and that's why I would only give it 6/7 out of 10, because if Saka gets injured, and it's not just about Saka getting injured, I think at times, and the stats don't back me up, is that Saka doesn't produce because he's being overplayed.
There was a stat actually that said that there was 72 games. The players that have left played, which is Fabio Vieira, Eddie Nketiah and Emil Smith-Rowe. Between them, they played 72 games last season.
But it's not 72 full games. It's minutes within those games.
But they've had to come on and 72 games.
The reason that is because we didn't go deep in the FA Cup and deep in the League Cup. We went out very early against West Ham, and we went out very early against Liverpool, I think, in the fourth round, was it? So I want us to be going into those cups. When we play Bolton in a couple of weeks, what is our front three going to be? Really, in a real ideal world, you don't want to see Saka playing, you don't want to see Havertz playing, you don't want to see Martinelli or Trossard. But they're going to have to play now. That's my problem. I just don't think we've done enough strength-wise. And I know what Julian's saying, that these players didn't get enough games. The reason they didn't get enough games last season because we didn't go deep in the cup competitions. We want to go deep in cup, or I certainly do. But I think now...
Well, then in the Champions League format now is even bigger. We saw it yesterday.
So this squad now, for me, is like... Forget about the Champions League, forget about the FA Cup, forget about the League Cup, and just solely go for the title.
Is that how you're looking at it?
With that squad, yeah. I do think that it is. I don't think we're strong enough. Like Jesus... we wouldn't be having this conversation if Jesus never got that injury a couple of years ago on the knee. Like this, it's messed him up. I've said it all the time that would be. You can't rely on him in there. He hasn't even. He hasn't. He's played 10 minutes and he's broke down. His body's broke down, not through football, through training. He's just.
He didn't just play 10 minutes, did he? He played all the pre-season, and he has got an injury. I mean, from what I understand, it hasn't been officially reported yet that the injury isn't that serious, and he'll be back after the international break.
Yeah,
so that's nothing we can base out.
Injury.
Well, who says there will be?
Well, statistics say that there will be, Julian. It's
still
the same with Thomas Partey. Listen, Thomas Partey, by the way, is off for Africa. Now when he goes off to African nations, should they take a physio out there with him? Because they're worried about that. If he breaks down, we've got Marino now injured. Listen, it's all about, you've got to have a little bit of luck in injuries. Saliba, for instance, this season now is playing an extra 11 games to what he did last season.
Yeah, but that's why you got Calafiori coming.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So we've done that in that area. I'm thinking to myself, right, so you've got the extra 4 games in the Champions League for him, the extra 7 games he's going to play internationally now, so you can give him a break. Defensively, we're looking very good.
I'm not as fussed about Partey because of the reasons I said before, is that some of those defenders, if need be, can come in and fill in. Tommy Asu can play there.
He's injured at the moment.
You can have.
But listen, we're not on about listen, forget those players, right? the forward line. That's what everyone's losing it about at the moment.
It is the forward line.
Right?
That's
What happens if Saka, or if Havertz is injured? Who have we got in that squad that is like Havertz, that can hold the ball up? You know what I mean? A striker like him, good in the air, hold the ball up. There's no one else. If he's injured
for a long
that
term,
completely changes our style of play as well.
Who comes in place of Havertz?
And that's exactly why I would give it a 6 to 7, because one area of the pitch I think, and I agree with, we're understocked in, but I wouldn't be giving it a 3 because we've got two areas of the pitch, the defence and the midfield, 2 out of 3, that's perfectly adequate. In fact, more than adequate, fabulous, and being able to compete for the league championship.
Why do you think he hasn't gone in for a? They haven't gone in for a forward player at this late.
Well, they have gone in for the forward players. They just haven't.
They went for
Sesko, and they haven't got.
That was in June.
And they haven't got who they want. But the players they want, so you've got a choice. You can either try and get the players you want. If you don't get them, you don't get anyone. Or you can just go and fill a spot just for the sake of filling it. And I think the way that the team is now and the levels that they're at, it's no point in just bringing in a player who's not going to get anywhere near it.
I disagree with that, because we went all out for that Mudryk, couldn't get him, and then brought in the back the Trossard.
Trossard's worked out better.
So
why are we not doing that this time? Why are we not looking at it?
And also, I also think this is another thing, what they've done with Ramsdale. If you think about it, Ramsdale, they couldn't get Raya 2 years ago, so they got Ramsdale. Then they got, when they got Raya, I'm going to sneeze, sorry. they dumped Raya. They dumped.
Sorry, mate. That way.
So sorry about that. So what they done was, like, they couldn't get Raya. So what they done was they got Ramsdale, got him for 2 years, and then when Raya come available, they brought him in. And why couldn't they have done that with a forward? If they want Sesko, go and get Ivan Toney for a year, and then to get them. I don't understand that. I just think that we've just left ourselves really short in that area. And
but there is another aspect of this. You can get a great player, but it doesn't necessarily fit the system that Arteta wants to fit. I mean, you saw it a few years ago, well, not more, a few years ago, maybe 20 years ago, with Asprilla, who came in, who was a great player, but didn't fit the Newcastle system. And because of that, that's why they lost the league. Or one of the reasons they didn't win the league. It doesn't quite fit. And Arteta's got a certain way, a lot of people criticised Arsenal when they didn't have a style of play. We've got a style of play now, and not every player, whether they perform well at Brentford, doesn't mean they're necessarily going to fit the style of play that Arteta wants.
Yeah, but we're leaving ourselves short.
I don't know what he's on about with style of play, because say if anything happens to Havertz, right? You know what I mean? Like, who are you putting in there? The style of play that you play, which I think really works with Havertz in there, you know what I mean? But, I pay a lot for my season ticket. Every time Havertz gets injured now, I'm going to go, oh, no. Do I deserve that? I feel like I ain't going to worry if the centre half gets injured, because I know we've got people coming back in there. I've gone 2 years of Partey being out injured, when we've been worried about injuries and all that. I think finally we got Declan Rice in there and everything like that. But I just think that if anything happens to one of us, you can say it's Saka. We've got 4 strikers or 4 attacking players into 3. That's what we've got at the moment. And Jesus. I'm not going to put in Jesus because, you know what I mean.
Well, you have to put him in
because he's been injured for a week.
He's not available, and
he's not available this week.
Well, I don't know when he'll be available. I'm a big fan of Jesus, but I'm telling you, let's hope that he is.
That's when he's available.
Let's hope that he is. So we've got 5 then. So 2 of them get injured. You've got Nelson as well.
And you've got Nelson, which is 6.
So they've tried to sell all summer. You know what I mean? I just think that I'm a massive fan of what Arteta and Edu have done over the last few. Fantastic in the transfer window, but this transfer window was a difficult one, and I get it was a difficult one because you're trying to get over the line for the title, and it's very, very hard to do. But if you don't get yourself over the top with certain, you're not going to bring in a game changer. You've got to get in players that are going to help the squad. So, i.e., when we played Aston Villa last season, we brought Jesus in and we messed it up there, and we lose that game. That cost us the title. Then we go to Bayern Munich in the second leg, and we looked a little bit jaded and legging. We didn't get self because we didn't rest and change it around a lot. And you have a look at what, dare I say it, he does, Pep does, they've got that little bit more depth in there.
Well, they haven't replaced Julian Alvarez.
Well, they brought in that Brazilian player, the young kid who plays out wide.
He doesn't play where Alvarez was playing. So then they've left themselves short. And if we're competing directly with them, then you've also got to compare yourselves with your main competitors.
I'd rather have their forwards than ours, you know what I mean? I think Grealish hardly plays. They've brought in Gundogan, who's a quality player for them. They've still got their main three up there. And they've just got that little bit more. You know, at the end of the day, Joe, they went to Chelsea the other day and left out 4 or 5 of their top players.
Yeah, it was scary, that performance.
Yeah, you know, so...
And I thought Chelsea were weak, and then I saw them, what they did to Wolves. So it is scary.
Yeah. I don't know, like, you know, let's go down Julian's route and let's hope that, you know, Mikel and
but I just don't
have got it right.
I just don't think that you can say it's as like 2-3 out of 10 transfer.
I'm not said that.
But Turkish did.
Well, like he's got his opinion.
Yeah,
like
but
I don't think it's a 6
I
don't think it's a 7. Nowhere near a 7.
So what do you think?
I think what
I said 6 to 7.
I agree with 5 to 6. I would say because we haven't addressed the issues that I think we've had for a year.
But the other thing is, I don't think you can take this transfer window in isolation because in the last few years we've spent £500-600 million getting us to a stage where we don't need major surgery. We don't need 5 or 6 new players. We do need one foot, and we're arguing now over one position.
When you see your mate Josh, turn around and say, "Do you know what? Like I've spent a lot of my season ticket over the last few years. I don't feel like I should change. I shouldn't spend so much this month. Can I have a discount? See what he says to you. His middle finger will go up, and you won't like it."
Well, because I'm
actually, do me a favour. I know we're live. Can you plug that in for us?
Where is
it? Just behind you there. Right, this is what you get on live. I'm going to do a few super chats as well. I've had to switch from my iPad because it's messing up a bit. But HW says...
Here we go.
Yeah, thank you very much. He says, when we always think that this club has changed, they remind us of how much of a loser mentality they have at board level. 5 attackers for 3 positions is inexcusable. We will forever be the second best losers, he says. Would you say that, Julian?
Well, second best losers would mean that we're not even second because you'd be the first best loser if you were second. So that's the first thing I'd pull the gentleman.
I see what he's saying, but like, I don't like it when people say you're losers because you come in second at Man City. That's a harsh.
But we haven't come second yet. I mean, at the moment we've had 2 games.
The last 2 years we have.
All right. So this season we've had 2 games. We've won them both, and we haven't conceded a goal. And we've gone away to one of the other Champions League teams and we've beaten them 2-0. I don't understand why everyone's getting hysterical. Not everyone, some people.
No, and I'll make you right on that. But with that win, which was fantastic, by the way, you had Eddie on there if things go wrong. You know, your mate Eddie.
Yeah, right? I like Eddie.
So, like, he's not there no more.
Okay.
This guy Andika says Nketiah to Palace has been called off, but I haven't heard that.
I heard a rumour that
he hasn't been announced yet, but as far as I know, it's still happening. Josh Lee says no striker, no more signings at Edu Masterclass, so he's not happy. Raul says, what about the backup for Odegaard, who's been a key player for us and our playing style?
Well, that's another problem.
Let Fabio Vieira go, haven't we? That's another one again. We've let Fabio Vieira go.
Might step up to that because I think he's done real. But that again is a little bit of a problem because I thought the one player that would probably think could replace him would be Havertz dropping back into that role, but he can't now because we ain't got forward.
Yep, HW's not too happy with you, Julian. He said, Julian lapping all of this up. There's no justification in this one. The fan base is united at the disbelief of a lack of forward signing. Anyone defending this does not truly want to win. Edu's time is over, he says.
Right, well, I am part of the fan base, and I've been part of the fan base since 1976, and I definitely want to win.
I don't think Julian's actually, you know what I mean, I think he's agreeing with us that we should have probably signed us.
Yeah, and the other aspect is, we've still got 4 hours to go, is it? About 4 hours. It could have. We could get Sterling.
A lot of reports are saying that we won't sign him.
All right. If Sterling comes, to me, that's brilliant. I think that's the Saka backup that you're looking for. But I do admit that we're lacking in a certain area. But then, I don't know, everyone seems to be looking,
how is it we all
perfection.
Know? Why are we all saying it? I mean, listen, like you said, there's still time. But if it don't happen, because we're all saying it, and they're not seeing it.
They are seeing it, but if the players aren't available...
There have been players available.
Listen, I
How
think
hard
at
have
the
they
end of
tried
the
to
day,
go to get these players? I mean,
I'm sure they went for Cisco.
And if you think about it, right, they've got money as well. They've got money in. They sold Smith Rowe £35 million. They sold Eddie Nketiah £30 million. Today they've sold Ramsdale for £25 million, replacing him with a loan for a season.
Okay, you're looking at it. You're looking at this transfer window in isolation. I'm looking at it.
I'm
over
looking
the last
at it
few
now.
years. Exactly, you're looking at it in isolation. This transfer window. If I was sitting here and the only transfer window we've ever had was this one, I'd also give it a lower mark. But I also appreciate that over the last few years we've invested hundreds of millions of pounds into the squad, and that's what the Cronkies have done.
Do you think
they've put the money in?
Okay, do you think then maybe they should have thought to themselves, right? And I'm not on about the Cronkies here; they just supply the money, right? So the people who are buying,
big part of it.
The people who are buying, the team that are buying the players, do you not think then they should say the priority for us this summer is a forward player? We ain't bad in defence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll see what
we're
you're
not bad
saying.
in defence, right? Yeah, I mean we're pretty stacked there, right? Up front, we're not. And not only that,
So
we've
what
got
you're
rid of
saying-
players up front. We haven't got rid of nobody in defence.
What you're saying
At the
is you
moment,
spend the
Kivior's
money.
even still there. Kivior's still there.
Oh, I get
We
what
haven't
you're saying.
got-
Like, we spent the money in an area we didn't need to.
Yeah, but we've agreed.
If you're saying what you're saying and we haven't got the money, why spend the money on Calafiori?
So what I've seen of Calafiori, he looks like a brilliant addition to the squad. And
He does.
He looks brilliant. And it does secure it. And maybe he's got doubts over Tomiyasu. And what he's got in his head is that he doesn't want...
But he's got doubts over Eddie. That's why he's getting rid of him. But who's he
And
replacing him
Nelson.
with?
He's got doubts over Barton.
Who's he replacing Eddie?
He hasn't
Who's
got...
replacing Eddie Nketiah?
Well, from a player that plays no minutes and no one seems to rate.
No, he's 72 games between those three players.
Yeah, between 3 games, but it's not just games. When you say games, that implies that it's 90 minutes times 3 players
It's not,
times 72. Which
Julian, it's not those
isn't.
games.
It
You
was
want him to
negligible
play
minutes.
games. You want him to play games to rest players. That's what a squad player
Yeah, but he
does.
doesn't seem to want to do that because he relies on certain players and he just carries on
Because
playing
we ain't in those competitions. We go out of them early, like, and you know. Listen, I was guilty for it last season coming out of West Ham. It don't matter. It does now. Oh, you know, there's pressure on this manager. There's pressure on this club to get trophies at this football club. You know what I mean? Like, and if you don't, what I see is I'm in the camp, like, and I've been in this camp for a little while. It does annoy me when people go, if he don't win nothing this year, he's got to go, right? Well, he's put himself right up for it now, pressure-wise, Robbie.
himself
He
under
really
a lot of
is.
pressure.
But I'd rather
and I wish he hadn't.
Yeah, I'd rather come second in the Premier League to City than win the Carabao Cup. That's my. I mean, it's a nice day out. That's about it. It is a second. It's not even. It's a second-rate cup competition.
All right, let's keep the super chats going. Dial Square says, disappointed. Thought we'd be ruthless, but it's just the same as before. We're never able to sign the last puzzle piece. Happy finishing in the top 4. Harry Lawrence says, we needed a striker again, and we've come up short. Preenhor says, selling Emil Smith Rowe and then bringing in Sterling is terrible. Well, I actually think Sterling, if we get him on loan, I think that would be a good
Different
sign.
positions.
Yeah. I would be happy with that because we need cover up front. AP says horrible, horrendous, horrific, second best forever. Anyone justifying this window is just happy with second forever.
Well, Julian just said that. He's happy to be second.
No, I've said I'm happier to get second place to City than winning the Carabao Cup. Don't try and twist it.
Paul says,
That's
lads,
what I
just said he was
I
happy.
didn't say that at all. I said happier.
what
It's a
about
difference.
Antoine Semenya? He's class. Well, yeah, but we haven't gone in for him, and there's no way Bournemouth are going to sell him at this late stage. Kane Anthony says, why have you got this bald, senseless person on our screens? Arsenal fans forever living in deluded land. We're one injury away from Saka, to Saka to fighting for top 4. Wake that up. 2 points away last season with no intent. So he's not happy. If we miss out on the league because of Saka's long-term injury or fatigue, what conclusions would you make at the end of the season?
Yeah, if it's all so pessimistic, you know, City could get an injury to Haaland. Then what?
They did last year.
Why
but
was
long-term
Tony
could be.
not even considered? And if we're taking Sterling, who's past it, why not put in a loan offer for Sancho or something? Would you guys have Jadon Sancho?
I would have had Jadon Sancho.
I'd rather have
would
Sterling
but,
over Sancho.
but for some unknown reason, they've not.
They
gone
probably
down
don't
that
like
route.
his attitude, innit?
But yeah, well, maybe look, you have to go back. Listen, about the Ivan Toney one, right? No English club has gone for him. Spurs preferred to spend £65 million on Solanke than a £40 million Tony.
That's
You
a
have to ask.
great point.
You have to ask the question why. Now, obviously, Arsenal would have surely looked at it, but there's got to be a reason.
They looked at it last week, Arsenal. That's what's definite.
Got to be, yeah. But Ivan Toney for a year and then get who you want to get. I would have done, but they've.
Right.
I'm not worried. I'm not going to criticise Arsenal for if that's.
Okay.
They didn't want to go.
Edo
down
One
that
says all the attacking players that we have approached this summer have been told they will be second fiddle in that position, and they're not up for it. Well, what about Chiesa? He knows he's going to be second fiddle to Salah. He's still gone to Chelsea. That's another player we could have got. Nathan Garrity says same old Arsenal. So a lot of people are not happy with the transfer business.
Rob, can I just say something? But this is out to all Arsenal fans, right? Arsenal have always been like this. It's not just the Cronkies that have always been a little bit skinflint in the
change that?
It's not skinflint.
Forever. They've never been. They've never been great. Going back to Liam Brady, spoke to Liam Brady about it when he was buy a couple of players, otherwise I'll stay, and they didn't. Going back those years and years, they've always been a little bit like that, Arsenal. Always through the history of our football club. It's not nothing. The Cronkies are not coming to something new.
Right, Tanver says this is not a 6 out of 7 window. This is not a 6 or 7 out of 10 window. It's a 3 or 4 out of 10 window. We've gone from title contenders to a top 4 or 6 side. Wouldn't be surprised if Mikel Arteta leaves. It's pretty negative here.
Well, I don't see how you can say. Listen, and we're still a very, very good team.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that.
I think so.
And a great squad. It's not just
C12I says one injury to Odegaard, Saka or Havertz, and we're in trouble. Last season we had Emile Smith-Rowe, Vieira, and Eddie as backup. Now we lack depth. But poor planning.
But the same supporters that are now criticising lack of depth were criticising those players. They weren't good enough to come in.
Replace them with ones that are.
That's what this Julian. That's what this transfer window was for, right? And I'm going to be really honest. Let's be brutal about it. Yeah, you're getting rid of Smith Rowe. You're getting rid of Vieira and Eddie. That people are not saying they're not good enough. All you had to do was get better than them three,
and they haven't.
That's a fact.
Who've they replaced Vieira with? No one. Who've they replaced?
I'm going to say Wanyeri.
All right. Who've they replaced Eddie with?
But there's another aspect. Forget about Eddie.
Who've they replaced Eddie with?
No one. Replaced him with anyone yet, but he wasn't playing. He could have replaced him with me if he's just going to sit on the bench.
He did play. There was games when he come off the bench as subs. There were games when
Julian, what planet are you on here? We're playing Bayern Munich last year with 5 minutes to go and they're bringing him on. Don't say that is not right.
5 minutes. You talk about 5 minutes.
So that's what sometimes you have to do that.
Score.
But he came on though. So what?
So replace him with someone better.
Who are you going to bring him on? Who are you going to bring on this time?
Well, last week I saw Trossard come off the bench and score a goal straight away.
Trossard was playing in that game.
He come on in that game.
Who are you going to bring on for Eddie this time? Now Eddie's gone. Who are we bringing on?
Okay, so I can base it on last week's game. The three we are really going mad.
You can't find the You're getting confused.
All right,
we're asking you a question.
Okay, I'm telling
who is going to be to replace the thing?
We have.
You're saying nothing.
I'm not. I'm not being allowed to speak. We've all said there's 6 players for 3 positions. So you're going to have 3 at any time if everyone's fit. Let's say they're not. Let's say one's injured. You've still got 2 that you can bring on, depending on who you start. And then the other aspect is...
Yeah, but you've got sold Eddie. Answer the question. Eddie's gone. Who's he replaced? He hasn't replaced him. So who comes on? Where Eddie came on last year, right? And
who's on the bench tomorrow?
Who's he come?
Who's on the bench tomorrow?
Right, so it's one question at a time. Who would I bring on?
Who would he come on?
Reece Nelson.
As a striker?
As in that position, because a lot of the players...
But he's not a striker, though.
But this is how football's changed in the last few years. We've got players that don't necessarily have to be a fixed position. We've got a lot of fluidity of movement and positional play, the way that Arteta set things up. And then bringing in Calafiore can potentially release Zinchenko to be playing in midfield.
Harry Lawrence says, what players that we've sold have we replaced? Jimmy Jam says, this is worrying. We start slipping down in the window and players will start to want to leave.
Well, the players that we've sold, we've replaced. The players we've sold, we've sold Ramsdale and replaced it with Neto, right? We've sold Smith Rowe, haven't replaced him. We've sold Vieira, or not sold, we've loaned Vieira out, but I'm going to say Wenger is coming there, right? You know? And if we sell Eddie, we haven't replaced him as well.
Well, I guess you could say Smith Rowe's been replaced by Marino.
Well, I would say that he's replaced El Neni.
Oh yeah, El Neni.
Yeah,
but then El Neni.
But El Neni was nowhere near it. He was only.
He's been replaced.
But what I want to know about.
That's what I want El Neni replaced by Marino, which is a brilliant deal. That's what I want. I want Eddie replaced with a Tony or someone like that. And then you turn around and go, wow, that's improved our squad. That's all. I don't think that was much to ask for from the board this time around. They had all summer to do that. They knew they wanted to get rid of Eddie. As Julian said, he wasn't getting minutes last season. Let's get 30 million for him and get someone in that's going to get minutes and take us towards the title or help us along the way. You know, so we can rest players during games. That's what I'm saying.
That's all the schedule yesterday. There's more games.
More games.
Yeah.
Did I do this one already?
Sold the youth player as well.
Yeah. Previous super chat. Sir Wills, he said in the previous super chat, I forgot that you were all baldies. Right. So we are all baldies.
Yeah, we was arguing who it was.
Raul says, please stop comparing ourselves to City. They have proven year after year that even with injuries to KDB, Rodri, they have won everything. What we need is the intent and confidence to win cups, which we are not seeing at the moment. Abdullah says, our net spend in the last 3 years was high and FFP is based on a 3-year cycle. If we sign a flop today, we can't replace him soon. No one was available. Very disappointing. Trust me, there's a plan. We move on. Well, what about Chiesa? He was only 12 million. And with the amount of players we sold, we could easily have bought him in. Julian is a simp. We won't sign anyone else.
Is that a good thing?
No, it's not a good thing. It's not.
Can't please all the
HW
people.
says, we need a goal in the last 5 minutes to Bayern Munich away, and Julian is talking about bringing on a centre-back to unlock a left-back in the middle. We are finished this season, lads, he says.
I can't see how we're finished. We've won our first 2 games, not conceded a goal. We haven't necessarily weakened our squad.
Welfare says.
I can't.
All right.
We've weakened our squad up front.
Welfare says, sell Julian to Man United on a season loan with option to buy. He's lost it. Charlie Chores says, what would be the ultimate last-minute signing that could knock you all off your feet? Well, listen, there's loads out there, but I would take Raheem Sterling on loan for a season. That gives us cover up front. He's a guy, he's experienced, he's played in the Premier League. I know what you're saying, Lee, he's not the City version. But even this first season at Chelsea, he looked good. I'd have him for a season.
Well, listen,
better than nothing.
Exactly that. But I'd have Anders Limpar in,
you can't say that about. But he's recently been an English international. He's sought after, and someone said he's finished at 29. He's not finished.
They paid 60 million for him. He's not
finished.
Well, I'm not worried about what Chelsea are doing.
No, but a lot of players have gone from Chelsea. Chelsea's been an absolute chaos the last few years since Abramovich has finished there. And players have come away from Chelsea, like Havertz, and he looked average at best at Chelsea, and Arteta's got the best out of them.
Why don't we go for if he's such a great player? Why haven't we gone for him at the beginning of the summer? Why don't we go and spend all the money on Sterling?
Well, no, Sterling's become available. And you hear managers say this a lot of times. They say, listen, in the last things of the window, something good might come available, we'll have a go. Right? So obviously at the start of the window, nobody thought he was leaving. Everyone thought, Chelsea players on a long-term contract, he's getting big wages. No one was going to go near that. But now circumstances have changed. Chelsea want to get rid of him. You know what I mean? They might be able to do a bargain on the wages.
I'm not against it, because at the end of the day, you can play wide. It may mean that Martinelli goes down the middle and maybe gets better out of it. I don't know, you know what I mean? So
it gives depth.
He gives us depth, but we ain't got him.
All right,
Yeah,
TARDIS
it
Man
hasn't
says,
finished yet.
just a reminder that we're going into September fixtures with only one signed player available, and he's on the bench. Calafiori. He says it's been a horrible window, simply put. Josh, well, listen, you buy a lot of players sometimes and they're not immediate
One's
starters.
just unfortunate.
Yeah,
Come on.
Josh Miller
can't
says,
blame no one
time
for
to
that.
prove that we're still a very good team with a chance to win the league with the squad as it is. Very disappointed in this window. That seems to be the consensus of nearly everybody. A Blue Whale says, Havertz, Jesus or Saka injury away from a disaster. You think he's overreacting, Julian, or you think... Shane says, Edu,
depends
you
what
won't be
your definition of a
disappointed.
disaster
Get
is.
him out. That's what that guy says. Get Edu out.
Can I just say something?
I don't agree with that.
Say if we'd have brought in an £80 million striker, right, and Saka gets injured, right, it's still a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah or no?
Yes. If Odegaard gets injured,
It's a disaster.
We've got.
No, but
it's just-
this thing, obviously it's a disaster, but cover. Having cover.
You ain't gonna
It was a
get- you
disaster.
ain't gonna get the same-
It was a disaster when De Bruyne
gonna be a drop
and
off.
Haaland was out last year, but they had cover. They could cover off those players, right? Julian Alvarez covered him off, right? So
He's gone now.
he has gone now, and that is an interesting thing that they haven't actually moved in to get a replacement for Julian Alvarez. And Pep Guardiola was being asked about it today, and he said, "Yeah, listen, it's a gamble, but I don't want to go with a big squad." That's what he's gone with.
And
Maybe
he's
Arteta's
done-
thinking the
he's
same
done
thing,
really-
but I do feel that their forward area, they got a bit more than what we've got. I don't know, man. We could have, especially on that side where Saka is.
Rob, I'll be really honest. If it weren't for this Champions League, I wouldn't have been that bothered about it. It's just those extra 4 games just does worry me.
I look at this comment here from Kuster. He says, Arsenal does transfers like Julian books flights on standby.
I don't always get on, but then
Don't always get the flight.
don't always get the flight,
You don't
but-
always get the player. You know
but
what I mean?
when it works out, I get a very nice seat and I don't pay a lot.
Yeah, when it works out.
And it works out 95% of the time.
Well, let's hope this one works
Yeah.
out. Rahul, he's taking a gamble, isn't he? Rahul says, Arteta himself said that we have a thin squad. That sums it up. He did say that a couple of weeks ago.
And we have.
So why ain't he gone and got someone in from that forward? Well, listen,
But it all-
few hours to go, but where are the
But
signings?
then there's the other aspect. You want to be like Chelsea with...
Don't start comparing other
but
teams.
It's overstocked because you can have too many and you can
No,
have
we
too
ain't asking
few.
him to get too
But
many. We're
then
saying
if
you've
you
got rid of Eddie and Nketiah. Who are you bringing in?
Then you're comparing yourself with Man City, which is, we're always bigging up Man City, which is quite right. They've won it the last 4 seasons, and historically they've done it with a smaller squad.
All right. Terrible window, says Jamie. He says we'll be lucky to get top 6. We've still got a very good side. And Taylor says Nketiah not officially announced yet. I'm worried.
But with everybody melting down and everything like that, I understand the frustration.
You were melting down before the show started.
Yeah,
Don't try and carry like you-
have a think about it.
No, I am frustrated, but I've always said we have still got a very, very good team.
And
I've
squad.
always said that. I think that we've not. No, I'm not. I'm not saying we've got a decent squad because it's not in depth enough. It's not big enough for me. But people turn around and going 5th, 6th, and all that. We lost Jesus for most of the season a couple of years ago. Still ended up coming 2nd. We've had players out. We had Timber out all of last season and Partey out all of last season. We still had a very, very good team. It's not about that. We still. Look, listen, if we don't get an injury, we've got a very, very good chance of winning this league.
Charlie George says, ask judges the same question. What signing will knock him off his feet? Surely Arsenal are too good for Sterling now. This isn't 5th place quality.
Well, listen, the signings that I would have gone for Tony. I would have gone for Cucurella at Sporting. I would have gone for someone like Rashford at Man United. I would have gone for
Rashford.
Oh, well, yeah, I've always said that.
No better than Sterling.
Well, no, he's no better than Sterling. But
So that's why I take Sterling on
Mikel
loan.
would have done his magic and all that. Sterling wouldn't have been one of my choices. But as I said now, he's emerged now out of the dark waters of Chelsea. I'll take him. as I said, you know what I mean, if Anders Limpar and Paul Merson want to come out, they can come and have a game as well, like, you know what I mean? Get on they can sit on the bench and do nothing.
Vivian says, what is this white M&M on about? Which one? He's making absolutely no sense. I speak for all Arsenal fans. We don't claim him. I guess this is why dicing in onions is called Julian. I need a striker. I'm happy with his
Julian. Look, before I go on, before everybody keeps slagging on, Julian has said that we knew he would prefer a striker, but
yes, I would, and that's why I've given it a 6. Maybe high 7, probably nearer a 6 out of 10. It's not perfect because of the forward positions. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm not having a meltdown because of it.
Mr. Lay1 says, Arteta and Edu using Wenger's tactics of not getting what we actually need. Now my question, if we fail to win anything this year, who do we blame?
Them. Listen, it's a little bit like the situation that I was very much, when all the Arsene Wenger stuff was going on and all that, I was still backing him up until that transfer window when they just signed Petr Cech and he said, I don't need no midfield players. And that was it for me. And then what goes, we had Arteta and I think Kazula would have said they got injured at West Brom and we was down. I think it might have been Coquelin down, and we ended up plummeting down because he done. And that was when a lot of fans, I did turn, and I believe that if Arsenal don't do it now, a lot of fans will turn because of this transfer. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, there'll be a higher chance of injury due to the Champions League, says a comment.
Yeah, that's my worry.
And one Chowa says, Reece Nelson finally going to get a chance to play some football.
Yeah. He is.
He done very well on the tour, by the way.
Yeah,
I was impressed with him. So,
and the other aspect is people have criticised Arteta for not giving the younger players a game, and now he's freed up a bit of space in the squad for them to come through. And people have been, really impressed by Namweri. I was really impressed by Salah-Ad-Din, and also Lewis Skelly. Is it that he's apparently knocking on the door as well? And we saw a bit of him during the summer, and they look good. And if you're going to stock up like Chelsea have...
None are strikers.
But the way that Arsenal play, last season we scored 91 goals? So obviously you can have a position, say, we need a traditional striker, but I think Arteta proved last season that we don't.
I don't think it's about being I'm not worried about the traditional striker. I'm worried about just having someone in there. I hear what you're saying, because if Havertz gets injured, Jesus is there if he's not fit. You could actually go and put Trossard in there.
And I've seen Martinelli play there as well.
And Martinelli could do a job there as well. So they've got that. But what I'm saying is you need someone just to fill in that.
You do need an extra body.
We do, we do. And I can't believe they've not done that. But maybe they do it in January. But then, I'm not going to.
But then everyone, it seems to me, from where I'm sitting, that people are having a meltdown over that they want perfection, and you don't get perfection. No, not even Man City have got perfection this transfer window. Liverpool haven't. Spurs have got Solanke.
The one thing I will say, Rob, and I think if you put it out there to all fans, beginning of the summer, what was the priority? I think they'd have said forward or a striker.
Everybody said at the start of this window,
defender.
When I ask fans, right, and obviously I'm doing a transfer daily every day, I can tell you right from the day one, all the fans are like striker, right winger. Striker, right winger. That's what you heard all the time. We've gone and got a centre-back stroke left back and a midfielder. Where is the right winger? Where is the striker? We've let a striker go and we haven't replaced him. We've let Fabio Vieira go, and I know you say, all right, Ethan Ranieri will come in for Odegaard. But actually, if you actually look at it, most of the times when Vieira played at Arsenal, he's playing as a right winger. He'd come on that side. Even in pre-season, he played all them games on the right wing. So they were obviously considering and thinking, let's see if we can try him out there, see if that works. They could see you don't have the pace to play there. Now, we ain't bringing in a right wing. All right, Reece. Reece can step up. Let's see if Reece can step up into that. But what about the striker? There is none. Taking one out, I don't understand it.
Yeah, but it's your fourth choice.
It makes no sense to me.
You've taken out your fourth choice striker.
He still played games. He still came on. Like Lee said, there was games that we needed to win. We'd throw Eddie on.
And in the last half of the season, we saw very little of him.
Yeah.
All right, you're talking about 5 minutes against Bayern Munich, when it was desperate times. Okay,
Yeah, because we was winning most of those games.
Yeah.
There's going to be times
against Villa when we're losing 1-0 down. Wouldn't it be great, if we roll back the clock and you've got a top striker to bring on? Wouldn't that be good? Against Fulham, when we lost 2-1, and you roll back the clock, wouldn't it be good to maybe off the bench bring on a top striker? That could have won us the league.
But if he really is,
so if you look back at that and you think to yourself, right, that we lost this league by 2 points, should we really, be buying a centre back, or should we be buying a striker?
Okay, if he really is a top striker, he wouldn't be on the bench and being brought on with 5 minutes to go.
No, but then you've got options.
You have got
Julian
options.
Alvarez was a top striker. He's gone for he just gone from Man City to Atletico Madrid for nearly 90 million. But I think that's going to be the most expensive transfer this summer.
But again, he wasn't fourth choice striker. We're kind of
but who's their second choice? Sorry, I mean,
all right,
Jesus.
So Jesus second choice. Trossard, you can say either second or third. But you have options. You can have Martinelli there. It's not disastrous. It's not perfect. It's not perfect.
And when you factor in the fact that Martinelli's not exactly have a good season last year and hasn't started off his season well, you'd have thought they'd be looking at forward players.
And maybe you can look at changing the position. I remember they did the same with Theo Walcott for a while when he played down the centre. He looked better than he did on the wing. You can change players' position, a subtle change, and you can get more out of them.
All right. Jamie Hunt says other teams have improved. We haven't. Jake Williams says low IQ approach to football business. It's not FIFA. Is he on about us saying that we should be buying players, or is he back in June?
Martinelli could be the answer, couldn't he? He could be the answer.
Well, so far, we've not really seen that, have we? Owen Campbell says, Robbie, no offence, but whoever is your source that gave you the Tony news to Arsenal, you need to delete and block that contact as soon as possible. If you knew who that source was, you wouldn't say that, right? You would not say that, because I can't say more. And actually, when I gave that rumour, I never said he was definitely signing. I was just giving you the information that I was told, is that he actually stalled off his move last week because he was supposed to go to Saudi last week because he heard of the interest from Arsenal. And that's facts, right? And I know my source that gave it to me, and it's absolute 100% solid facts. But it doesn't mean that he's definitely going to sign. It means that Arsenal have obviously decided that they're actually not going to do that signing, or maybe the player himself decided that actually I am going to go for the big money over in Saudi, because the money he's going to get paid is absolutely humongous, and he's never earned that sort of money in his career, and he would not have earned nowhere near that at Arsenal. So I was just delivering to you what I heard. Do you go at Fabrizio Romano like this when it doesn't actually end up coming through, or David Ornstein and that? Because not every rumour, go and look through their timeline, and see the percentage of all the rumours that they've reported have been actually spot on. So chill. See, it says Nelson has 1 goal in the last 2 seasons.
What a goal that was! That was a
great goal, but it was again. That's what we're going to be relying on.
Yeah, but he hasn't played.
Reece Nelson.
Hasn't played the games No,
but he's come off the bench.
He has come off the bench a few times, but he hasn't had the minutes. Maybe if he gets the minutes, you'll see a different side.
Maybe you're relying on maybes. I'm saying we could have got out there and
You're always relying on maybes. You can bring in £100 million. Look,
there's
Chelsea,
some maybes that are more certain than others.
Some of those £100 million players, and what have they done?
So then let's just go down the park and pick up a kid playing down there and bring him in. Come on, you know what?
You've got a plan.
You know why you spend a lot of money on transfers sometimes, because you're bringing in quality.
Always a risk.
It's always
a risk. But
look at the players that have gone for over 100 million in the last. Well, it hasn't been that. It's all been in the last few seasons. But the majority of them, from what I can remember, Lukaku, Casado, they just haven't worked out for me. The only one that I can think of straight off is Rice.
Comment says, past 3 years we've needed a striker. That's actually true. We haven't signed one. Remember, even Havertz wasn't signed as a striker; he's a midfielder.
Yeah, but again, he's been converted, and you have to give credit to Arteta for doing that. Maybe he can do that with a Martinelli or someone.
Big Aqua says, youth. I keep saying it. Arteta likes them. Amadip says, but there is the January window, and if the team is good, we can work with players that we got till then. January transfer window is always a risk, because you could see a player that you really, really want, but team don't want to sell him. That's the risk in the January transfer window. It's really hard to get that good signing. Hardest window of all. It's easier to get a player that you really want now than in the January transfer window. January transfer windows are difficult. Kay Goog says, we need to be realistic. We can't win a trophy by letting our best bench players leave without bringing in any replacements.
We do need to fill the bench, but you know, there's no as Julian says, there's no guarantees that you can win the league and whatever with what. I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I'm at the thing where at this moment in time, if we bring in a forward and we still don't win the league, I will go, at least we've had a go. If we don't do nothing, I'm going to go, well, you know, something's got to give.
7 o'clock now. There's no sort of noises around players coming in or anything.
Do you?
Well, from what I can see, the only one
you normally pick up a little vibe. At the moment, there's nothing. This season is a gamble that we won't win, says Jamie. He's really going hard, Jamie. He's not happy. Mr. Lay One says, let's all agree Arteta and the owners have lied to us to get us on side. They're in the Champions League and they're content. We fans are gullible. I don't think that is true. I really don't think that is true. Listen, Mikel Arteta wants to win the league, right? And we're going to have to, if they decide they ain't buying no one, which I think is incorrect, we got to go with it. Well, we ain't got no choice. We've got to go with it anyway. We have to say in the transfer market, they have made some great decisions. The Raya one, we didn't agree with. That's worked out. The Havertz one, we didn't really agree with. He's been good. They've made some good decisions in the transfer market.
Do you know what, Rob? I watched the game today. Tottenham versus Arsenal. We won 4-2. It was Unai Emery's first game. At the back, we had Bellerin, Kolasinac, Mustafi. Let me think of the other centre half was. Weren't great. Rob Holding. Right? I look at our back four now. So when people want to slag off what we've done in the transfer market, I'll be a little bit cautious about that.
Even Calafiori,
we've improved tenfold.
Yeah, we have.
All we're saying is, and that's what I don't. I'm a fan that's frustrated that we haven't gone over the. But I'm not going to start going, right, you're this and you're that and whatever. We've brought in Odegaard. You know what I mean? Unbelievable player. How much is that? 30 million, 40 million?
People were having a go at that signing.
So,
I remember doing Transfer Daily.
People having a go at it.
I was saying, yeah, I'm happy with that signing. And people are like, oh, we should have got this. We should have got Buendia. I remember that. Things like that.
And Maddison.
Yeah,
Maddison was being. Yeah, could have got Maddison.
And that's the reason why I'm saying, don't look at this transfer window in isolation.
Right. Ryan Toole says, Julian, 99% of the fan base doesn't agree with you. Does this not concern you about your football knowledge? You're a nice guy, but deluded. I think that's harsh.
I think
that's his opinion.
Well, look, it's his opinion, but I'm interested where he got the 99% from.
I think at the end of the day, most Arsenal fans are not happy. You know, but what Julian's saying is he's not happy, but he's not. He's not in this thing. Well, we're going to come
hysterical.
sixth. We're going to come sixth now, and I'm not. I still think that we'll end up second. You know what I mean? Like
AP says, clearly Edu and Arteta have the same reasoning as Julian. In the end, this will end badly for all of them. He said the fans will be waiting for all of you with the daggers. Unfortunately. Ashnair says,
do you think it will
I'll
turn
take
the fan
Adingra over everybody right now.
Do you think it will turn the fan base this transfer window?
Listen,
I think we're.
I'll tell you what happens.
If they lose,
if we go and win tomorrow, right, it's quickly forgotten.
Yeah.
But if we go and lose tomorrow or draw tomorrow, I can guarantee you that literally every fan that I meet outside that stadium is going to be saying, see, that's why we should have signed a forward player.
100% agree. And I remember a very recent example, I think it was January a few years ago, was the Mudryk one. People were having meltdowns, the fact that we didn't get Mudryk. And within one or two results, everyone was laughing at Chelsea. It's just...
But we went and got Trossard.
Yeah,
we went and got
didn't do
Trossard.
nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
That
we didn't do nothing. We
But people
got someone.
criticised Trossard.
Yeah, they did.
To begin with, it's the same with
Yeah, well,
criticising
we got Trossard,
Ramsdale.
you should have got this play. And you are right, Julian. The point that you make, which I completely agree with you, it's not always sometimes because a player costs 100 million, 80 million,
No.
they're going to be any good. If you need to see examples of that, just go and check Chelsea.
Yeah.
And all these players that they paid, like,
Can't get rid of him,
Enzo
no.
Fernandez, £105 million, who looks now, when you look at him, he looks like a £20 million player. Right? You know what I mean? And they've got a lot of players like that. £65 million for, what's his name, the left back? With the shaggy hair.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he looks a lot. Cucurella.
Cucurella,
Yeah.
good player, but he's not worth £65 million.
but you can look
Fofana, £80 million. Lukaku, £95 million. Right? So it's not all the time. You know what I mean? You can go and get players, right, that don't cost that much, that can be really, really good players. My point on the Nketiah thing is, get someone. They haven't got no one, and that's where I think that's where the
Do you
fault
think they
lies.
could actually pull that plug on the Eddie one now?
Possibly.
Seriously. I think
It
if they
hasn't been
haven't-
announced yet, but I
Yeah.
do expect that still to go through. But I still expect that to go through. Yusuf said, why would Eddie come back? Well, I guess it
He's
wouldn't
under
be down to him.
contract.
Yeah, it wouldn't be down to him. Yusuf says, people saying that we need a striker, but that also means that we have to sacrifice someone in the current squad. And that might bring more negatives than positives. Harry Lawrence says, remember, it ain't over until it's over. Come on, you Gunners. This time there was no plan B like in January, says Bashman84. Ex-Agent 93 says, Nelson is going out on loan. Odd with no incomings. Well, I haven't seen that. Is that a fact? Have we heard that? We have to check that. Blackad 0112 says, disappointed, but fans are overdoing it. The moves of other top clubs shows that this window is washed. Crying for Chiesa. The striker market has been dead for 3 years. There is an element of that,
Yeah.
right? That there hasn't been, great strikers out there available. But I still think Raheem Sterling's available right now.
Listen, if I've sat in going to the game the other day, four of us all going up to the game, and they said, right, who's your striker? We chose 4 different players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know who.
It's not obvious strikers out.
It's not an obvious one where you go, right, that's the one. You know what I mean? I think
And a lot
we
of them
all-
are really highly priced. I mean, a Victor Gyökeres, who has had a good season last year over in Portugal, they want like £86 million release clause.
and he's not going to play in the big games.
And nobody has gone in for him. No one.
I think everybody would say Isaac would probably be like, but
Yeah.
he's not available.
He's not available.
You know what I mean? So it's
Unless you
people
go do what Turkey said, which is go and kidnap him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not being really horrible about it. You look at, I think it's a fascinating scenario when people go about Arsenal losing their heads. I'm pretty sure Newcastle fans must be losing their heads. They've been bidding for Gay, right? And in the end, they didn't get him.
No.
And it's to a stage where a club as Crystal Palace are, years ago, you put in a good bid, you got Ian Wright and blah blah blah. They've turned around and go, well, if you ain't paying what silly money for him, you're not getting him.
Yeah.
So it's not easy.
Texas Cannon says, I'll make a $100 super chat if it stops Julian from speaking. That's
For how long?
That's very for how long? You take the money. I know you. Abdullah says, oddly quiet on Sterling. He must definitely be leaving Chelsea. Well, I don't know.
Well, we'll find out in a few hours.
Surely we'd be hearing more about it. JS says, this is our ambition. I miss Giroud, he says. Remember when he came in, everyone was slagging him off as well.
Well, when would it say like now for it to break? Like Sterling. I heard. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but there was a thing like Sky keep a few back to make it look a bit.
No, that's facts.
Yeah. Well,
Is
they
that
do.
facts?
They
So
keep
maybe
back
that-
Yeah,
signings.
but it can't all be about Sky. Sky can't have the
No, but
exclusive on these things.
Well, it is the English Premier League, and they do have the
They pay the money, so
pay all the
like,
money.
fair.
So
I have heard that.
no, it's true.
So it is
It's true. There's certain signings that
They keep.
they know is happening, and the club, they keep that signing back until. Could you imagine if all the signings were announced?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
By say 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
It gets a bit boring,
right?
doesn't
Then who's going to watch their deadline day show, which they highlight, and no one's going to watch it. Are they?
So I suppose it is.
So Sterling's already in bed in the
I don't
team
know.
hotel then.
No, but that one I don't know about. Alan Rafferty says,
I don't know.
I agree with Julian. We need to relax. Only 2 strikers fit our transfer template. Gorkarez is 1. Osimhen wants too much money. Tony, poor character. Who else? Nobody better than Trossard and Gabby, he says.
Yeah, I like him.
I'm not too sure.
No, not too sure.
Bashman 84 says we should have went for Eze or even a Dingra. There's 2.
Yeah, maybe that. Is Eze
2.
got a buyout clause in his thing, or is he not? Because again, if you
Eze?
Yeah,
I think they said 60 million they want.
That's how much it is.
I'd have had Eze.
Well, yeah,
Eze's a quality
if you're
player,
selling
I'd say
Crystal, you're selling.
But I'm not
Eddie
sure.
at Crystal
I'm
Palace,
not sure
he was
Palace were
worth-
willing to let
No,
their
probably
2 star
not.
players go
Yeah,
in one
probably
transfer window.
Todd Miller says also have, I think he meant 99 problems and a striker 8-1. We ain't got a striker, that's true. And I know Todd's a big Chelsea fan. Cunny says the window has been decent and the squad will allow for youth players to have game time. Have we closed the 2-point gap between us and City from last season? I don't think so. Mr. Lay One says no one is slandering the work, but ambition is low. Lamar says if you guys can't see that we're in big trouble, we're not in big trouble. We still got a lot. At least we've got a very good
Can
team.
you see it?
No, I don't think we're in big
C12I
trouble.
says wonder why we'd skip on Tony or Osimhen when they were available all window. Is MA, Arteta means just scared of the big egos? We clearly needed a striker.
At the end of the day, I think everybody knows we want to strike. But as I go back to it, saying maybe they must have looked at the Victor Osimhen one, and there must be a reason why they've not gone for it. Why has no club gone in for him in the whole of Europe? Why is it Saudi? Why is it the same with Tony? So I get the Gorkarez one. I don't know about him, but I think that would have been a good fit. But maybe they've looked at that and said they're not prepared to pay the price. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they were prepared to pay the price for Declan Rice because they knew what they was. You guaranteed.
And he wanted to come to Arsenal. It might be. And look, I can't criticise the players for it, but if you want money, and you go to Saudi. I mean, it doesn't seem to be any FFP over in Saudi, does there? I'm sure our
£700,000 a week.
Yeah, £700,000 a week. I'm sure they're not bringing in that much money in sponsorship deals to
Kaya, the journalist Kaya.
Yeah.
We were chatting to him over in America. He's tweeted out. He said Reece Nelson is attracting interest from multiple clubs ahead of transfer deadline, with Arsenal understood to be open to letting him leave. If he leaves,
I'd be disappointed.
so then no.
Yeah.
If he leaves and they don't bring no one in,
Yeah, I'd be disappointed.
They've got to have something up their sleeve. If that
4 clubs, as yet unnamed, are interested in signing Reece Nelson, according to Sky.
But Arsenal can't stop teams being interested. It doesn't mean Arsenal.
But surely now, if that's Reece and Eddie Nketiah went out and nobody came in the other way,
I don't think
it starts to drop down to a 4 to 5.
So I don't think Arsenal will let him go if they haven't got a replacement lined up.
They'd have to.
And if they do that, I would be disappointed.
Yeah, and then it goes down to a 3.
Arsenal
Well,
open
it goes down to a 5, doesn't
but
it?
Arsenal open to letting him go.
Yeah, open to letting him go, but that might be a phrase that the second part of that sentence might be open to let him go if they're going to bring in a replacement, but they don't put that last bit in because it makes it more sensational, the headline.
No, but that's
Open to letting him go, but on what circumstances? Circumstances must be, for me, that they can get a replacement.
well. Listen, there's still time to go.
Yeah.
But
But it's the kind of headline that makes fans hysterical because they're looking at that headline in isolation and people get hysterical, and I don't understand that.
all right, we're starting to run out of time on the stream. Paulie67 says we got lucky with the injuries last season. What if we don't have the same luck, especially up front? Look at how many games we've got to play. The same point that Lee was making earlier on. Ashnair says, Claire says, what? Trossie Wassie is her baby. What's that about? I don't get that joke. Maybe it's from some pro. You get that joke?
What's the joke?
Trossie Wassie is her baby, Claire says.
Don't know. Not watched that.
It's gone over my head.
It's not in Ted Lasso.
RB says Julian is the only grown-up in the studio. The two other emotional bald kids are just screaming for replacing players that never played. Well, what are you saying now with the Reece Nelson thing? We have an amazing and even happy squad. Love you guys. Thanks for the content. So you got someone backing you there, RB, backing you there, Julian.
Thank you.
Ain't that your girlfriend's initials, RB?
No.
No, I'm only joking. James says, first time ever super chatter that have to fight my man's corner. I nearly always agree with Julian's opinion. However, on Sterling, I really don't want him. If Reece Nelson goes, got to get Sterling, or got to get some.
Well,
Can it be Jadon Sancho?
Sterling is an improvement
on nothing.
On nothing, isn't he? Yeah. No, that's how you got to look at it.
No, but he's a good. I don't want to.
He's a good player.
He's a good player. He's got good experience. At 29, I know someone said he's finished, but for me, someone at 29 is.
Do you
not
have Jadon
finished.
Sancho?
Yeah, I'd have him. But again, it depends on. I don't want to see players. I always remember the Espria situation where you brought in a player and it disrupted the squad. And one thing Arteta's got is a very close-knit squad that works well together. And you don't want any disruptive influences coming into that.
Right. And listen, he's got rid of the disruptive influences in the past. You know what I mean?
He has.
So, you know, but like, Sancho. Listen, he's had his problems at Man United, so maybe like that. I don't know.
But there is
all right.
There is something else that I think we're missing here. The point is, Arsenal's player profile is young, so we're actually a year better than we were last season. We're not an ageing team. We're a team that still hasn't reached its potential, even if you keep the players you've got.
Okay, Black 012 says, had we've kept Eddie, fans would lose their minds once his value plummets next year. Julian Figueroa says it's 10 past 4 in the morning in Australia currently. He says, have faith on another signing incoming. The board know what they're doing and we have to trust them and be patient. Big up to him. 10 past 4 in the morning. Jamie Hunt says, Arsenal fan 40 years, but this season I'm worried, guys. Well, we've started well. You know, it's a good win last week. Graham T says, do not underestimate the negative impact the ACL is having on Jesus' injury. Olamide says, Marino and Jesus injured. We truly one injury to Saka or Havertz away from no Premier League title. We're objectively weaker up front this season. Think 2015-16. You making that point, Lee. Jonathan Norton says, I think PSR was also a factor and our sellings this year will free up to spend like we did last summer next July. Well, we want to spend money now. Sean says, Fab and Orn saying that there's no more movement. Well, let's wait and see. Because none of them were saying Reece is going. All of a sudden, everyone's saying Reece is going. Nagoni says, Arsenal fans have every right to moan Julian. It's been variations of the same story for 20 years. The fans are not fools. Remy says, waiting for the right money for Eddie was the right thing to do in the end. Everyone was losing it. Let's rate our transfers after the window shuts. Believe, he says. And that's going to be the last one I'm going to read out. Over 10,000 of you have been watching live. Really, thank you very much for that. This has been an Invincible podcast live, but don't go anywhere because we're coming up with another live coming up in about 10 minutes time. Another happy person, Turkish is around the building. I don't know he's going to be in there. The other guys are jumping in. I'm going to be jumping back in later on as well. We're keeping it going here on AFTV until we find out if that's it. There's no more signings coming in. And of course, there's more and more breaking news as we're talking. I mean, because as I said, the rumour that's going around a lot now is that Reece Nelson could go. If Reece Nelson goes, surely upon surely, Arsenal got to bring someone in. What do you reckon?
Nah.
Well, they shouldn't bring someone in.
No, I don't think there's no one's coming in. I don't.
So you think they'd sacrifice Reece and still not bring no one in?
I don't think Reece will go. I think we're done. I'm actually going to go down the pub and have a couple of beers and not worry.
We do have a game, of course, tomorrow. Right, so make sure you check it out. We'll be got the starting 11 show tomorrow morning. 12 o'clock, 12:30 kickoff as well, early one, man. So we have to wake up early after this late night. We've got the game tomorrow. And also don't forget to check out NordVPN. As I said earlier, if you're going away, you're out of the country, it's absolutely brilliant. Protects your security. You can change your location and you can keep up to date with all your programs, everything like that. And it's great when you're booking flights and stuff like that. So check out NordVPN. Go to it right now, nordvpn.com/AFTV. You get 4 months on 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. Julian, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much to you, Lee. Happy belated birthday
Thank
once
you very
again.
Much. Thank you very much.
Well, maybe you buy us a pint. And don't forget, don't go anywhere, because coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going live again, discussing more transfer news. What is happening now with Reece Nelson? Is he staying or is he going? And will there be a late move for Raheem Sterling? Come back and find out.